It's the 7th of July, one day closer to the special session and the red flag attempt at new infringements on the right of Tennesseans to keep and bear arms as intended by our founders. Let's get into it. My guest this evening is Chris Todd. Can you tell us what district you represent and what your committee assignments are?
Yes, Richard, I'm in House District 73, and this is my 5th year in the legislature, my 3rd term. I'm the chairman of the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee. I'm also on the subcommittee. I'm on the Civil Justice Subcommittee and full committee. I'm on the Calendar and Rules Committee, as well as the Education Instruction Committee.
What are your thoughts regarding the need for the special session that Governor Lee has demanded?
I really don't see a need for it. This is a topic that really needs to be vetted out with in full display of the public, and a special session, as several of us understand, because I've been through 6 of them in just my short tenure in the legislature. They're very expedited. We suspend rules so that things can go from a subcommittee to a full committee and then to the House floor just literally within a couple of days versus several weeks. And that just doesn't provide the type of involvement that we need, or participation that we desire from the public at large. You won't know what bills are filed. You won't know what bills are put on notice in very much time at all. And so I think that's, to me, the primary reason that we don't need to expedite such an important topic as anything dealing with our Second Amendment rights, potentially with a special session, or anything that is fast and lacking of public involvement. There are many other reasons, but that's really the primary reason for me.
At this time, what are your thoughts regarding the red flag law or extreme risk protection order that Governor Lee is seeking to allow government to seize guns from individuals who presently can legally own and possess them?
I think the concept of a red flag or ERPO or anything similar to that, where someone can have their weapons taken away from them, is a non-starter. I don't see that happening. I don't see there being any appetite for that whatsoever in the General Assembly, and there shouldn't be. Our basic rights protect us from illegal searches and seizures. It protects us from having our rights trampled upon by law enforcement for any reason whatsoever without due process. So we must have due process involved in any type of order, any type of adjudication, and not have something that potentially would violate someone's First Amendment, Second Amendment, or any other rights they may have given by God.
What alternatives to a red flag or ERPO law do you think should be considered by the legislature?
Some of the ideas that I've been dwelling on and had others discuss with me and around me have been involving, one, getting the records for serious crimes that juveniles commit as juveniles, getting those somehow to where that record follows them for a number of years into their adulthood, let's say 8 or 10 years, in order for any kind of pattern that they may have had as a juvenile, a criminal pattern, to be recognized and possibly prevent them from having any kind of dangerous weapons in their possession. Other than that, I think there are opportunities to increase the ability for our mental health providers to alert law enforcement or other entities of a potential threat. Right now, they have to have an actual threat to be able to report that. And we need them to have the leeway in a counseling situation to pass that information on when they know there's a potential threat, or someone has made some kind of accusation or statement that they plan to take some kind of action against a person or a group of people, or even a location, for example. Beyond that, I think making sure our schools are no longer gun-free zones is going to be very important. I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but as I've talked to citizens in my community specifically, as I explain how this particular scenario usually plays out with these variety of shooters that we've had over the last several years, in their writings and their practices, they always look for some kind of target that is going to be unarmed. They pass up armed targets for something that is easy, so that they can have potentially more damage before they're shot and killed by law enforcement, which happens 99% of the time. So having, for example, the ability for off-duty police officers or retired police officers or retired military, or even possibly those folks holding an enhanced carry permit to be able to carry inside a school or on school grounds while children are present and on a voluntary basis, I think could definitely help this situation and keep those folks from feeling so helpless. Because right now, many of them feel very helpless. I've talked to some school personnel, and a lot of them like this idea. Obviously, we would want those weapons to be concealed. We wouldn't want any kind of advertisement of who has what within those schools, but they can coordinate that type of effort with either the SRO or local law enforcement to make sure there's a protocol set in place that would allow law enforcement and others to identify that person that is a friendly person that might be armed in an active shooter situation, and them not be a target themselves. So I think there are things we can do in that realm to be proactive with this. But again, I really don't want to see this in a special session. This needs to be fully vetted with weeks and weeks of debate and public input to make sure we do the right thing for the public within the constitutional bounds that we have.
Do you have any other thoughts on issues that may be important to this that I haven't asked in the previous questions?
Well, I certainly recognize how vulnerable parents can feel in the situation that we currently have with our state law prohibiting anyone other than an officer that's on duty and on a specific call to be able to go have a weapon in a school, and no one else. I think they feel vulnerable. They see that their children are at risk. And to me, they're glaring targets. And I think for criminals, they are as well. So we've got to make sure that we harden those soft targets. I think all the measures that we took this year are in a positive direction, both from the standpoint of some of the grants for security upgrades, but also putting money into having SROs in every public school. But that still leaves the private schools vulnerable. And I think we need to change some things to make sure that they are no longer that vulnerable.
Representative Todd, we appreciate you coming on. I think it's important, like I've said in previous interviews, for the membership of the TFA across the state to be able to hear and see what the legislators who actually, you mentioned that you were on the Civil Justice Committee, you play a part in making laws that have to do with these issues. So I think it's important that we give our membership an opportunity to listen to you and to see what you've got to say. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on.
Well, thanks for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it, Richard.
If you learned something today that was beneficial, hit the like and subscribe button. It helps get our message out and sell the brand. Check back for more content as often as you can. You can find our website at www.tennesseefirearms.com. If you are new there, click the subscribe button on that page as well to receive free email updates about issues that affect your Second Amendment rights in Tennessee.